What's up, y'all? Hope y'all doing good. I'm Anthony K. Thomas, and welcome to Wrestling with Rumors. Welcome, everyone. So, before we get into everything that is this week's episode of Wrestling with Rumors, like I say every week, every rumor that I am about to read to you is what it is. It is a rumor. We can speculate as wildly as we want, but until that rumor is proven true, it's confirmed by the company that the rumor is about or by the wrestler it's themselves that it's about, until they confirm it or we see it happening on TV, it remains what it is, a rumor. So with that, let's get into everything that is a new episode of Wrestling with Rumors. The Wrestling Observer newsletter indicates WWE is considering doing Lesnar versus Gunther for WrestleMania 42. I think on this Saturday, at the Royal Rumble. I know this Saturday is really confirming two things. That by this Saturday we are done with the first month of this year, and it went like that. And this Saturday also begins our road to WrestleMania. So this Saturday at the Royal Rumble, I think when it comes to a possible match of Brock Lesnar versus Gunther. Now, Gunther versus AJ Styles is happening. AJ Styles is putting his career on the line. A lot of people are preparing themselves that this is going to be AJ Styles' last match. And they would be right to think that because of the representation that that Gunther has against professional wrestlers who are having their last match and retiring them. He did it with Goldberg in July for Saturday night's main event. He did it again in December for John Cena at Saturday night's main event. Those two right there kind of give him the name of the career killer. So for AJ Styles to go into this match with his career on the line, I see it, and I've been questioning it too since it was announced this past last Monday on Raw, where AJ Styles agreed to this match. So my thoughts of this match of AJ Styles versus Gunther at the Royal Rumble is I think AJ Styles will be the exception to this type of match. And he's going to beat Gunther. Now, the only reason why we got AJ Styles and Gunther is not because Gunther retired and beat John Cena the way he did. It is how he acted and disrespected John Cena after the match and the weeks after. That is how we got to AJ Styles and Gunther. So I think AJ Styles is going to beat Gunther. I think AJ Styles is going to be on that list of rare people who have defeated Gunther either for a championship or in a regular match when there's no championship on the line. I think that's going to happen for AJ Styles. Now, that's fast forward that match, get into the Men's Royal Rumble match. I think Gunther will be in that match as well. I think both Gunther and AJ Styles will be pulling double duty. And I think seeds between Gunther and Brock Lesnar will be planted at the Royal Rumble. If this match does happen, I think it will begin at the Royal Rumble where seats will be planted between Gunther and Brock Lesnar. When they'll be face to face, they'll both be in the ring at the same time. And there'll be that moment before hands get thrown at each other where people are like, oh shit, kind of thing, you know? Is this happening? Yeah, I think that's where it could happen at the Royal Rumble. But that's a small prediction for the Royal Rumble all around and the possibility of how that could happen. Moving on, there is no plans for Stephanie Verker to vacate the women's world title despite her injury, says Fightful Select. I think if they were going to vacate the WWE Women's Championship, as well as there have been so many speculations and rumors how the Women's World Championship is cursed in a way, based on previous injuries and then with Naomi getting pregnant, all that stuff. I think Stephanie Verker is no doubt injured, but I don't think she's injured to the degree where she's going to be out for a couple of months, where she could possibly miss WrestleMania. I think she will miss the Royal Rumble for sure, but I don't think she's going to miss Elimination Chamber. I think that they're keeping her home, they're keeping her rested, and she's rehabbing. She's rehabbing her ankle or her leg or her foot, and just to make sure that she is good. But I don't think she's going to be out. I think something like this is keeping her out for like maybe 3, 4, maybe even 5 weeks, but not long enough for they need to vacate the championship, or where she's going to be out for a couple of months. I don't think it's going to be anything like that. But I think it's also getting to where we're going to get that match between Stephanie Verker and Roxanne and Raquel Rodriguez. And I think a match like that probably would have happened at the Royal Rumble. But I think if Raquel Rodriguez doesn't win the Royal Rumble, I think this will be a match that happens at elimination, more than likely either happen on an episode of Raw, as we're on the road to WrestleMania, or at Elimination Chamber, one of those two. Now, if it happens at Elimination Chamber, yeah, it probably could happen at Elimination Chamber, because the Elimination Chamber matches are not necessarily matches where the championship is on the line. Lately, those Elimination Chamber matches have been used to determine who will get a shot at either at what women's championship and what men's championship has not been picked by the winners of the Royal Rumble. So there is a chance that a women's world championship match between Stephanie Verker and Raquel Rodriguez could happen at Elimination Chamber or at an episode of Raw on our road to WrestleMania. They also say WWE is being cautious about Kevin Owens' return. When I say they, I'm talking about Fightful Select. Being cautious about Kevin Owens' return from injury, and there is no talk of any sort of creative plans for him at this time. His health is being prioritized over everything, as it should. You don't mess around with a neck injury. You take as much time as you need to allow the neck to heal and make sure that it can sustain the kind of bumps and the kind of bumps that you take as a professional wrestler. So as long as he can get to a point where he's cleared and he can come back and he can be Kevin Owens, he can be the prize fighter, he can fight Owens fight. I am very happy to hear that nothing is being planned for him at this time, because it's all about his health and it's all about making sure he's going to be good. Plus, if you watch LFG, he's going to be a coach on LFG. So if you're missing Kevin Owens, as of recently, you'll be able to see him on episodes of LFG in the near future. Roman Reigns is set to return at the Royal Rumble, says the Wrestling Observer, and his WrestleMania direction should be clear coming out of the show. Now, this is true. This was confirmed on this past Friday's episode of SmackDown, where they did a video package of Saudi Arabia playing Roman Reigns' music, showing video clips of Roman Reigns. He's going to be at the Royal Rumble, so that we already knew. That we could already sense that he was going to be there. But that was WWE just letting people know that if you were wondering if Roman Reigns is going to be at the Royal Rumble, if you had any doubts about it, here's a confirmation that yes, the tribal chief will be at the Royal Rumble. And as far as what it looks like for him coming out of the show, it's... I want to say something that deals with the world title match, but I feel that it is a good... But as I've read in past rumors that it looks like Roman Reigns having any kind of match for either the WWE or the world title are not in his future plans in the next few months going into WrestleMania, and it's probably something that comes after WrestleMania, like a SummerSlam or something like that. So as far as who it could be, I don't think CM Punk, and I don't think Cody Rhodes. So, basically, this is me taking a long way of saying I don't know. I think I'm gonna stay. I'm gonna sit back and try to pay attention to the breadcrumbs as I enjoy the Royal Rumble with some pizza and some beer, and see how that looks. Although having pizza and beer at 11 o'clock is probably not the best idea because the Royal Rumble is going to be an early thing. So maybe not even pizza. I have to think about the snacks because I have to think more of a lunch, and maybe pizza for lunch. But by the time I'm not going to bore you with my ideas for food for the Royal Rumble because it's going to be a morning thing, so it's going to be a little weird. Anyway, it'll be interesting to see what that looks like for Roman Reigns, about who he will go into WrestleMania facing. Dave Meltzer said the current thinking in AEW is that if someone is a really good worker on the indies, WWE might sign them, so you have to sign them first. So I think this doesn't need any explanation from me. This kind of says it for itself. I will say that if that is the case, it just means that those from AEW, the scouts from AEW, are out there 24/7 at indie shows, with the idea that WWE has scouts out there 24/7 at indie shows, and if they see someone they like and their idea is, I like that person, he's a good worker, and the idea is that someone from WWE might be here and they might like that worker, let's get him signed right now. I don't know how well that works, because at the end of the day, it really comes down to the professional wrestler themselves, the kind of deal that AEW offers, the kind of deal WWE offers, and and really going down the list of variables that that professional wrestler, he or she, weighs when it comes to whether to go work for AEW or whether go to work for WWE. What do you benefit more from in AEW or in WWE? So I don't know how well this kind of thinking works for AEW, but if it works for them, and it's okay. Anyway, Elena Black, formerly WWE's Cora Jade, signed a 1-year contract with TNA. That per Fightful, who says Black is expected to be full-time with the company in 2026. So all of 2026, full-time Elena Black. And I think in this year, I think it's really just to get her feet wet, get back into pro wrestling, see how she does in this first year in TNA, and whether or not this will lead her to sign a much longer deal with TNA to stay around. I think within this year, probably by summer, she will win that TNA Knockouts championship. Absolutely. But I think as far as the year goes, I think it's just getting her feet wet, see how she feels being back in pro wrestling, and after a year, if she likes it, maybe sign a multi-year deal with TNA. PW Insider says Rusev and the Street Profits have been kept off WWE television for strategy reasons, keeping them fresh for when they have a creative direction later on. I think we'll definitely see them at the Royal Rumble. They've been kind of doing this with quite a few of the talent there. They've been kind of keeping them off TV for not just creative reasons, but to allow them to rest. get freshened up so that when they bring them back, they are good to go and hit the ground running hard. In case there was any doubt, Fightful Select says with 100% certainty, the former AEW star Powerhouse Hobbs has signed a WWE contract. This, now, Fightful Select is saying that 100% certainty that Powerhouse Hobbs has signed a WWE contract with WWE. I'm still in the it is possible. Now, Fightful Select is pretty good at getting stuff like this right. There's no doubt about that. And some of the stuff that they say that they're certain about turns out to be a rumor anyway. Turns out to be a rumor. So I am in the middle on this, and I am waiting. I am waiting for that. I am waiting for the Royal Rumble to see whether or not something like this is true. And if it's true, great. It'll be great, and I'll be very interested to see the kind of run Hobbs will have in WWE. But until the Royal Rumble, or even before the Royal Rumble, for all we know, he could show up on this Monday's episode of Raw or this Friday's episode of SmackDown in Saudi Arabia. It is generally possible. But we are all but it's still in the speculation phase for Powerhouse Hobbs, who could possibly be Royce Keys in WWE. It is all in the speculation phase. And until Saturday, Royal Rumble, when we're all watching and we all know for sure, we no longer have to speculate. We can start. We can move to the next phase of it and start planning matches for him and see what matches we would like to see him in. Fantasy booking him in matches. But until then, it's just speculation. So, Fightful Select will go ahead and say 100% certain that Powerhouse Hobbs possibly will be called Royce Keys, has signed a contract with WWE. I am being safe about stuff like this and saying in the speculation of it, and in the speculation of him signing a contract with WWE, and waiting until the Royal Rumble to see if it's absolutely true. Sources told Bodyslam.net that Drew McIntyre is expected to walk into WrestleMania 42 as the WWE champion. A rematch against Cody Rhodes is the likely match for McIntyre at WrestleMania. There is another scenario where it possibly could be a triple threat match with Cody Rhodes, Jacob Fatu, and Drew McIntyre. Now, that is a match that I have brought up a few times, in which it is necessary that it necessarily probably won't happen at WrestleMania, but the other side of the coin is that it could happen at WrestleMania. And it feels like that is the direction that they are going. But we will see. But I feel that a triple threat match at WrestleMania for the WWE Championship, Cody Rhodes, Jacob Fatu, Drew McIntyre, it's a match I feel we all want to see. And to see it at WrestleMania and to see Jacob Fatu on that big of a stage, on that big of a night, whether it's night 1 or night 2, and to be in that big of a caliber of a match is such a great opportunity for Jacob Fatu, and it's a position he deserves to be in. And to think of the possibility of Jacob Fatu in a match like that and to possibly win the WWE Championship at WrestleMania is such a exciting thing to think about. So, at least for me, I hope this is a match that does happen at WrestleMania, and we're not in a situation where it's Cody Rhodes versus Drew McIntyre, because a single match, Cody Rhodes in the WWE title picture, again, okay, it's the same thing, different guy. It was Roman Reigns for 2 years, then it's John Cena, and then Drew McIntyre. But You add a third variable into it with Jacob Fatu, and the odds become harder for Drew McIntyre, and the situation becomes more interesting for all of us in a match that is no disqualification because it is a triple threat match with the WWE Championship on the line. Is interesting, and to see either Drew McIntyre or either Drew McIntyre retain the WWE Championship or to see Jacob Fatu win the WWE Championship, I think is something we all want to see. So I'm hoping and leaning more towards a triple threat at WrestleMania for the WWE Championship. People in AEW told F4 Online's Dave Meltzer that Hobbs' decision to sign with WWE was made based on his family, which implies WWE offered him a bigger money deal. However, he left AEW on good terms. Nobody in AEW had anything negative to say about him. Now, if that is the case, that Powerhouse Hobbs did sign with WWE and they offered him a good money deal, which is good for him and his family, great. That is great. That put himself and his family in a position with money-wise where they can breathe, and money is not the thing they have to worry about. That's great. That's always great when that can happen, especially in the economy we are in today. And the fact that he left AEW on good terms and he did everything right is a bridge that's not burned, a bridge he can cross if things don't work out in WWE. So, pardon me. So that's great. And I like that. Now, two things I want to touch on before I end this episode is quick. I want to touch on this past week's episode of TNA. Two things came out of that episode that I wanted to talk about real quick. First, the return of Trey Miguel to TNA after what had happened, his unexpected release and the controversial behind all of it, and about how things from his past on social media came up, all of that, and then how AEW released him based on those things. The fact that he was able to come back to TNA, re-sign with TNA, is great. And then he returned during the Feast or Fire match where you have to grab a briefcase. And in those briefcases, there's either an opportunity for the TNA Championship match, a TNA Championship match, a TNA International match, or a TNA X Championship match, or our fourth briefcase, which has a pink slip, which means you're fired. Now, I think the briefcase that Trey Miguel grabbed is a briefcase for the X Division Championship, I believe. But it's great to see that Trey Miguel was able to come back to TNA. He's back, he signed, and hit the ground running. So that was great. And also, what happened on TNA was the system turning on Moose and JDC. Now, there's nothing JDC can do about this turn because he had his last match at Genesis. He's done. He's retired. That is what it is. But Moose can do something about this turn. And to have Moose as no longer part of a faction, he's on his own. Things that he does the things that he does now it doesn't look. He doesn't do it for him. He does it for the system. That is done. Now he's doing everything for him. And a Moose that's looking to get revenge and to go after those who betrayed him. This is going to be an interesting story, an interesting story to tell, and what this looks like for Moose moving forward. This probably will put Moose in a position where he can get a shot at the TNA Championship. But first having to deal with the system and what that looks moving forward. Now that Cedric Alexander is part of the system, how all this looks moving forward. I'm very curious this coming Thursday's episode of TNA to hear what the system has to say, what Cedric Alexander has to say, and also what Moose has to say as well. So that I'm very curious about how that looks as far as TNA goes. And lastly, Unreal. I want to talk about Unreal really quick because because season 1 people talked about how they felt about Unreal and what they saw it to be. Same thing is happening again with season 2. I did this last season, so now that season 2 has come to an end, and we know that season 3 will be in the summer, and we have a pretty good idea what season 3 will be, which will more than likely be the rest of 2025, which will either end at Saturday night's main event with John Cena's retirement, or it possibly could end with what we are in the middle of right now, in the beginnings in 2026 with the Royal Rumble. It is possible they could go all the way to Royal Rumble of this year. But as far as my thoughts for Unreal shows two sides here. I think this is how I feel about Unreal. Unreal has showed two sides to WWE. The first side is the side that we all know, right? We all understand about how WWE works, about what they do, and getting to look behind the curtain, and seeing how it all plays out, and who knew what, and what secrets were kept, all that stuff. That is cool to watch, to see, and I'm cool, and I'm fine with it up to a point. But the other side that I really appreciate that I really love about Unreal, more than all the stuff that they show, because sometimes sometimes to see how the magician did that trick, it kind of it ruins it a little bit. You like the surprise, you want to stay in it for as long as possible. The side the other side of Unreal, the side that I really like are the performers, and how they show they are people. How they are people with feelings and emotions, and how they go through stuff just like every other person goes through stuff, and how much, and to show how much they actually sacrifice and give, and how they bleed, and how they hurt. And that is the side of Unreal that I appreciate in this show, is showing the humanity side to all the performers in WWE, the women, the men, the women, the people backstage, how excited, how big of a fans they are when they're watching on the screens, and they're excited when something happens and goes the way they were hoping, and how they react to things happening. They go, whoa, shit, and how they feel in watching those moments happening. And just the humanity side of Unreal is just amazing, and that's the side that I appreciate of WWE. That's the side of this show that I really appreciate. When it comes to the other side of it, where they just kind of run through how everything happens, how everything did happen, is interesting, absolutely. And I feel that I think there are still things that WWE is not showing. Like, WWE has agreed to show so much, but there is so much that they will allow us to see, and there are still a lot of things that we are not seeing. Like, especially when they're in the boardroom at headquarters, and they're in the writers' room, and they're talking about, well, if we go this way, or if we go that way, or tell me what you think about this. We see that, right? But we're not seeing everything that happens. I feel that there's a lot of things that WWE is not showing us that they want to be able to keep, that is theirs, and that they're able to use to surprise and keep people in the moment. Because these days, it is so much harder to keep a surprise, because of the thing that I'm using to record right now with my phone is the camera. This camera right here. Someone can easily take a video, take a picture, and of something that looks like that could be a possible spoiler, a possible surprise, and post it on social media, on YouTube, on Instagram, on TikTok, on Blue Sky, on X, on Facebook even. And millions of people will see that, and it ruins the surprise like that. But but yeah, it is very hard to have a surprise. So when they're able to keep the surprise, and when you see how they kept the circle very tight to people they can trust and people they know won't blat it out, won't leak it, won't spoil it. Especially Seth Rollins' daughter's teacher when she was at camp for the day, and their daughter said his father that Seth Rollins had a pretend boo-boo, had a pretend owie. The fact that she was able to keep that secret too is incredible. But yeah, so the two sides to WWE for Unreal are, I enjoy the show. I laugh, I cry, and the parts where I tear up are the parts where they show the humanity side to all of it. And it just makes you really respect and appreciate those performers so much more, whether they're heels or babyface. You just have a greater appreciation for them and what they sacrifice in their own lives to entertain us, to show us their art, to help us get lost for a couple hours. So yeah, my final thoughts when it comes to Unreal is I enjoy the show. And yeah, that's where I leave it. I enjoy the show. I enjoy the show because I enjoy the humanity side of the show more than the things that have already happened, that we saw happen, and watching how they put those puzzle pieces together. And I think season 3 of Unreal will either go all the way to Saturday night's main event for John Cena's final match, or go to where we're about to head to this Saturday at the Royal Rumble. But I think that could possibly be season 3 later on this summer, which we'll see either in June, July, or August. But for now, this has been your Rumor of the Day. Hope all of you, pardon me, not Rumor of the Day. That is a show that I have on during the week. This has been Wrestling with Rumors. I hope all of you have a good, fun, and safe week. If you haven't yet, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you keep up with all new episodes of Wrestling with Rumors. And my daily show, Rumor of the Day, drops. And go ahead and hit that thumbs up. Leave a comment. Let me know any rumors that you heard that you liked. Want to talk more about any of those rumors? Talk to me. I love talking about this stuff. I love this stuff. I've loved this stuff since I was a kid in 1987, watching it for the first time. A 4-year-old me watching WrestleMania 3 for the first time on a whim, and watching Macho Man Randy Savage drop that elbow on Ricky the Dragon Steamboat with the Intercontinental Championship on the line. I was hooked, and I've been in love ever since with this. So yeah, I love talking about this. Anyway, hope all you have a good, fun, and safe week. We got Royal Rumble this Saturday, and the next week's episode of Wrestling with Rumors. If you're wondering why I didn't talk about, actually, never mind. I will be talking about the Royal Rumble next week for Wrestling with Rumors. I will be bringing up some stuff at the Royal Rumble, because the Royal Rumble will be on before I tape this episode, before I tape next week's episode of Wrestling with Rumors. So absolutely, we're going to be talking about Royal Rumble as well. There'll be a few rumors, but I feel like that next week's episode will mostly be focused on Royal Rumble. But until then, hope all you have a good, fun, and safe week. Don't forget to take care of yourselves. I will see you definitely next week on that next one. Peace, y'all.